Broadcasting Corporation. Reaching and engaging every Filipino on air, online, and on ground. Ito ang bagong DWIZ 882. Nagbabalita ng tama, naglilingkod ng tama. Proud member of ALC Group of Companies. Isang pagpupugay, pasasalamat at pagsisikap ang pangako na aming bibitiwan sa lahat ng ay natanggap na pagpapala. Pagpupugay sa lahat ng nagbigay ng pagkilala sa Aliw Broadcasting Corporation mula sa Philippine Outstanding Brand of the Year, Philippine Finest Business Awards, and Outstanding Achievement, Asia Pacific Luminaire Awards, Southeast Asian Premier Business and Achiever Award. Sa aming mga natanggap, 4-time Best AM Station Awardee, DWIZ 882, 4-time Best Radio Newscaster Awardee, Dennis Antenor Jr., 3-time Best FM Station Awardee, Home Radio 97.9, 2-time Most Promising TV Station Awardee, Aliw Channel 23, at Best Public Service Radio Host Awardee, Bragi Braganza. Pangakong itutuloy ang pagbibigay ng tamang balita at tamang paglilingkod at isang malaking pasasalamat sa tiwalang naibigay sa amin. Pakaasahan yung gagawin naming malaking inspirasyon ito para ipagpatuloy ang maglingkod sa lahat ng Pilipino.
Ang lahat ng opinyon, pagtingin, pananaw o kuro-kuro ng mga bisita at panauhin o mga anchors o host sa programang ito ay sarili at tanging opinyon at pananaw ng mga nabanggit at hindi opinyon o pananaw ng Aliw Broadcasting Corporation, mga producers o mga namamahala ng Aliw Broadcasting o anumang organisasyon na affiliated sa network at kailanman ay hindi iniendorso ng Aliw Broadcasting Corporation ang mga nabanggit na opinyon at pananaw sa programa.
Walang yumayaman sa pagiging empleyado lang. Dapat lahat tayo nagninegosyo. Timing! Narito ang isang programang magbibigay ng tamang gabay sa pagnenegosyo. Pakinggan at panoorin ang mga ekspertong magiging guest dito. Isang show para sa negosyo. DWIZ Negoshow. Kasama sina Lito Gagni at Gerry Urbina. Pakinggan ng live sa DWIZ. Panoorin ng live sa Aliw 23. At i-follow sa lahat ng digital channels ng DWIZ, Facebook, YouTube, at DWIZ News App. Huwag munang magplano, huwag munang sasabak, huwag munang papasok sa negosyo nang hindi napapanood ang show na Negoshow.
Yeah, another exciting episode of Negoshow. And of course, today we have Mr. Den Somera filling in for Boss Lito Gagni, who is away for some unfortunate reasons right now. But today we have a very, very exciting guest. Guest po natin, of course, former street parliamentarian, human rights activist, women's rights advocate, legislator, and now fashion entrepreneur. Guest po natin today is Senadora Nikki Cosseteng. Good afternoon, Senator.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon sa lahat ng ating mga tagapanood at tagapakinig.
Yes.
Ngayon, both na eh. Dating
Yes.
radyo lang.
Correct. That's right. Yeah.
And thank you for inviting me, Gerry, and them. Thank you.
Yeah. Ma'am, thanks so much for accommodating our invite. Siguro before we get started about talking about, kasi napaka dynamic ng career ninyo. Before we start talking about yung mga negosyo's ninyo, pag-usapan muna natin yung her story niyo, ma'am. I mean, can you talk about what it was like being the young Nikki Cosseteng?
Before,
Yun.
yeah.
Oh, I think those are the best years of my life.
Ayun.
When I was young.
Okay. Kasi ma'am, you came from a family of entrepreneurs. You know, what were these valuable business lessons you learned growing up?
Oh, I think I carried most of them
Yes.
to this day. I grew up in a family of businessmen.
Okay.
On my mother's side,
Yes.
actually,
Yeah.
My grandfather on my mother's side
Yep.
was a businessman, Jose Marquez Lim.
Correct.
And we were from Iloilo.
Yes, yeah.
You're from Iloilo too, right?
Correct, yeah. Shout out sa mga taga Iloilo. Yes.
And then on my father's side, my father's father and my father himself, my uncle, they were also in business
Okay.
and in manufacturing.
Yes.
And I think business like ran in our blood
Okay.
for most of us.
Yeah.
On my mother's side, they were also in the academe. My aunt
Okay.
was a professor, so was my mom. My
Yes.
mom was a professor. So I think I got both the arts and the sciences, part of it,
Oh, wow.
part of them
Yeah.
in me, and I think that's an excellent combination.
Correct. The perfect combination.
Yeah, and well, I was doing business.
Yeah.
I started doing little business on my own.
Yes.
My father died very young. My
Okay.
father, Emerson Coseteng,
Yes.
was a businessman. We started Honda motorcycles here.
That's
Oh,
right. Yes.
We
Wow.
First time to
manufactured.
know that.
Oh yes,
Yes.
Mariwasa Honda.
Correct. Yeah.
At that time, the Japanese didn't believe in bringing in Japanese cars to the Philippines because we were buying mostly American cars.
Yes.
So they only allowed us to bring in Honda motorcycles.
Oh.
And that was quite an experience. It was really a wonderful experience for me because I
Yes.
saw how they were made. We had our assembly plant
Yes.
in outside of Parañaque. Maybe I don't even know what it's called now because Bikutan, maybe that area.
Correct. Yeah.
And so we had exciting things. We had summer cavalcades that went up to Baguio on motorcycles. Sure.
Wow.
And we had dealers nationwide.
Yes.
So that was a nice
Yeah.
opportunity to visit
Yeah.
everyone everywhere else.
Yeah.
And that was it. And my mother was a university professor, Alice Marquez Lim Coseteng.
Yeah.
She was a university professor in the University of the Philippines.
Philippines, UP. Yeah.
She was teaching humanities and then eventually in the College of Mass Communications. Yeah.
Senadora, I mean, you mentioned your mother nga, 'di ba, teaching in UP, and you obviously they put huge value on education, and
Oh,
you
yes.
had the chance to not
Yes,
only
I
study in the best schools here in the
I
Philippines,
was the
but also
deviant.
abroad.
I was the
Diba?
deviant. I was a deviant.
Ma'am,
And I
wait, I
think-
mean, can you share your experiences nga in
Yeah.
studying abroad and how it shaped your, sabi nating, worldview and career path?
And whether
Okay.
it is
My fa-
important to study abroad or you can just
Oh,
be a
wow.
homegrown.
That's another
Homegrown.
show altogether. That's another show altogether. No, my father
Yes.
was running factories.
Correct.
He believed that manufacturing was the key. He believed in that.
Yes.
And I saw it. I was the one planting small trees in Noritake factory out there in Concepcion, Marikina, when we put up the Noritake factory
Okay.
for dinnerware.
Yes.
And my father was also a sportsman.
Yes.
Emerson Coseteng was, I consider, the founder of the Philippine Basketball Association.
That's right.
There's
Yes.
a big controversy at that time, but anyway,
Yes.
the PBA is the PBA. It survives to this day. Of
Correct.
course, my father passed at the age of 52.
Yeah.
So he was very, very, very young.
Yeah.
And I was much younger. So,
Yeah.
and then I went into sports as well
That's right. Yeah.
because we had a basketball team.
Yeah.
My father had a stroke.
Yeah.
And I managed the basketball team and became the vice president of the Philippine Basketball Association.
Ma'am, what was it like being
Ah.
a woman in a male-dominated basketball industry
I
at
never
that
looked
time?
I never looked at it that way. All
Okay.
the men that were in PBA
Yes.
were wonderful. They were excellent. Actually, in those days, kasi the owners of the teams were themselves sitting on the bench.
Okay.
You know, like
Very hands-on.
Dante Silverio was on the bench of Toyota.
Toyota, correct.
You know, this way.
Mhm.
And Danny Floro was on the bench of
Crispa.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was a good. They were all great experiences for
Yes.
me.
Yeah.
Even just hanging around the office
Mhm.
was already an experience in itself.
Yeah.
I never really held a formal position
Okay.
because I was just curious about what was happening. Spare parts, service center,
Yeah.
marketing,
Yes.
in the cashier's office,
Yeah.
HR, everything seemed like, like one machine.
Yeah.
So it was a well-oiled machine.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I guess in our country as well as in other countries, things don't just depend on how good you do things.
Okay.
Things don't just depend on your own skills.
Yep.
A lot of things depend on geopolitics and our own, the way we run our own country.
Sure.
So that is beyond the control of any entrepreneur. Madaling sabihin di ba?
Yeah.
O, pasok ka sa negosyo, kailangan entrepreneur ka, ganito. Yeah, but what are the conditions?
Correct.
What kind of environment are you coming in? It's not anymore feng shui alone that matters.
Yep.
It can be at any time. You can go in and all of a sudden, there's pandemic, patay. How
Yeah.
many restaurants? Wonderful restaurants. They invested so much in their equipment and in their physical facilities.
That's right.
And then what happened? Patay, wala. So there's so many factors. Competition is so stiff now
Yes.
in the country and elsewhere as well. So the conditions keep changing. And then there's some realities that you have to, you experience yourself.
Yeah.
For example, when my father died, I mean, my father was a car collector.
Okay.
From Rolls Royce to Volkswagen,
Yeah.
that was part of the garage.
Yes.
And it dawns on you, not even that, airplanes pa, dawns on you that you can't take anything with you, not even my earrings,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
So at a certain point, it dawns on you, hey, I'm gonna get off the Tiger. But getting off the Tiger also costs a lot. Why?
Okay.
You have to change your lifestyle. You have to change your attitude in life.
Yes.
You have to change the way you see people. You have to
Yes.
change the way you even see yourself.
Yes.
Some value that you put so much on something may mean nothing anymore. Di ba? Kung ano pinahahalagahan mo, all of a sudden, wala na palang halaga. So what's all this about?
Yeah.
That was in 1983, the same year that Benigno Aquino, Senator Ninoy Aquino,
Sure.
was murdered in the tarmac
Yeah.
in the Manila International Airport then.
Yeah.
That was the same. My father died only a little over a month before Ninoy Aquino died.
Yeah.
Okay? So events began to develop. And then my mother passed when she was only 70 years old.
Okay.
So I consider that still very young.
Yes.
I know people in their 80s who are still going ballroom dancing,
Yeah.
and that's fantastic. That's the greatest gift of all. Long life,
Yeah.
healthy life. And so my mother passed when she was 70, and that was in 2001.
Yeah.
Then you begin to realize, everything that's left that you thought was valuable really didn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
So then you decide, I'm gonna really get off the Tiger.
So was the reason why you went into politics?
No, I was in politics way before that. My mother was a very instrumental and which was an inspirational, figure in my life.
Yeah.
And so I was already a congressman. She saw me. She helped me get elected as a congresswoman
Yes.
of the 3rd District of Quezon City.
Yep.
And she also helped me become a senator. And she also helped my son, Julian, become a councilor in the 3rd District of Quezon City
Yep.
at that time.
Yes.
So she saw us,
Yeah.
move into politics. And, well, her own grandfather was a senator of the Philippines.
Oh.
Esperidion Guangco, the grandfather of my mother,
Yes.
was a senator in Quezon's time, 1916.
I
Yeah.
see.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
When you talk to me, ask me about my education, I was educated in. I grew up in a Filipino Chinese family.
Correct. Yep.
I'm 75% Chinese. My father was, pure Chinese by blood, by Filipino by citizenship, and my grandfather was also Chinese. My grandmother Chinese on my father's side. My mother's side was pure Chinese and half and pure Filipina. My grandmother was pure Filipina,
Yeah.
and my grandfather on my mother's side was pure Chinese. So
Yeah.
she's half.
Senadora, I mean, I'm glad you mentioned that. Kasi how has your mixed Filipino-Chinese heritage influenced your perspective in both business and politics?
I think it was extremely valuable.
Okay.
I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't trade it for anything else. I wouldn't trade my background, my family background, my childhood, my upbringing of my parents.
Yes.
my relationship with my grandparents,
Yep.
etc. And I would not trade it for anything else. If I were to be born again, I want to be born in the same family.
Great. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yes, I just feel that is my treasure.
Yes.
It was a wonderful childhood. We lived in Balut Island, Tondo, Manila.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. My grandfather's friends were mostly Filipino-Chinese. Some of
Yes.
them are alive today. Some of them are children of his friends
Yes.
that I know, and grandchildren of his friends as well. And seemingly the tradition is there. We were taught to work and we also had a good life because we were not just purely work.
Okay.
My grandfather was also into sports. My uncle was in sports. My mother was into sports. My father. So it was like that. And we took vacations. I have pictures when we were little, taking vacations in Baguio, taking vacations in Hong Kong, taking vacations in Japan, things
Yes.
like that. And those were very valuable to me.
Yeah.
More than maybe material things that they will leave. The memories that I have are more valuable to me. I appreciate them now more than anything else. I was taught to be independent.
Okay.
Not many families teach their kids to be independent.
Yes.
Most parents kind of like tight guard their kids.
Yeah.
Don't want to let go. My parents taught me to be independent.
Okay.
And I suppose I also did that to my children because the thing in my mind was that I don't know when I'm going to go. And if I go,
Yeah.
and you're only 10 years old, and I go and you're only 15 years old, what's going to happen? So you must be able to survive on your own.
Yeah.
If I grow old enough so that we're together for a long time, that's good.
Yeah.
And I hope there's value to it as well.
Yeah.
But if I go, life goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was it. I was taught to be independent. I was sent to England when I was 12 years old.
Okay.
That's
I stayed in Notre Dame. In St. Maur's Convent,
In a dorm.
in a dorm in
Okay.
Weybridge, Surrey. It was a convent school,
Okay.
and there were kids in the dorm with us.
Yes.
And the kids in the dorm with us have been there since grade 1. Some have been there since grade 5. They were there
Yep.
all their lives. And their parents were in South America, were in Malaysia, were in Australia. They were from somewhere from England,
Yep.
and somewhere from everywhere else. Africa, I had classmates from South Africa.
Yeah.
So it was an eye opener.
Yep.
Because I felt bad. I was crying, like I was going to be alone, like that.
That would have been my next question. Weren't you lonely?
Oh, yes.
Didn't you feel homesick?
Well, I did, but the life in the boarding school, I was with my peers. I have people my age, and they had wonderful stories to tell.
you had the culture shock.
Oh no, not at all. Except for the way they sounded. They sounded different. They spoke with a British accent.
Sure.
But the food, I just loved lamb chops, but I didn't like to eat Marmite, stuff like that. I'd rather have caviar than Marmite. but otherwise, I still go back to my background, my upbringing.
Yeah.
Everyone's different.
Yes.
And you can be together with everyone, even if they're different. They look like you, okay. They don't look like you, okay.
Yeah.
I don't carry that baggage.
Yeah.
I see.
They have a different religion, they believe in something else, I believe in something else, and they believe in this and that, and we don't agree. I don't carry that. You can just totally disagree with me, and it's all right.
Yep.
I will defend your every right to disagree with me.
So that's where you developed that kind
Yeah,
of
because I saw it.
philosophy.
The Chinese some Filipinos were busy changing their names. A lot of Filipinos. Maybe they are Ontiveros, maybe they're Ledesma, maybe they're Garcia, maybe they're something else, but they're Chinese.
Yes.
So, but I never dreamt of being anything else I wasn't.
Okay.
And I'm happy for people who have what they have. If they have nicer jewelry, more and bigger cars, and huge, so much bigger houses, etc., I felt good for them. I was excited. Hey, I want to go to your house. I want to see your house.
Sure.
Hindi yung walang hiya ito Ba't malaking bahay ito? Magnanakaw siguro yan. Diba? Wala akong bagahe ba?
Yes,
like that.
yes, yeah.
And it felt more, it was nicer.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in huge houses with huge gardens. And there was a part of our house in Balut, I wasn't even allowed to go in there. Maraming ahas dyan. We had a basketball court, we had a tennis court, we had a swimming pool, we had a sauna, we had a dance hall in our house. That's not a country club. But now, I live in 241 square meters. And I still feel okay.
Yes.
You know, I drive my own car. I don't have a driver.
Yeah.
I have a policy na isa lang dapat ang kotse mo Bakit? Ang traffic na If I have 2 cars, para coding day, may kotse pa ako, I'm not off the street, I contribute to the traffic. Diba?
Tama naman.
Lahat ng tao nagrereklamo sa traffic pero 6 kotse mo So now you have 6 cars on the road at any time.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Senadora, before the program, pinag-usapan natin yung siguro the qualities nga that make Chinoys such successful entrepreneurs. Are you able to share that?
Yes. Let's just put it on record. Not all Chinoys are billionaires, millionaires, and successful.
Okay.
A few who are outstanding, admirable, hardworking. They really how do I say, superhuman, you know.
Yes.
And you can see the results of that. But many others are still struggling. Many others you don't know. They're still Chinoys. They're still Filipino Chinese. They're still living bed space. They're still living in apartments.
Yes.
They're still living with their parents. They still ride the jeep.
Yes.
They don't have their own cars. They don't have their own, houses.
Yes.
So this Chinoy has to be broadened,
Okay.
and we have to appreciate them for what they're doing. Some are nurses, some are teachers,
Yes.
some are accountants, etc.
Correct.
And then you have the Chinoys that we always identify them as are the worst, are those who are very, very wealthy. They run big businesses, etc. The bigger the business, the more the headache. Okay, guys?
More money, more problems.
Diba?
Oo.
Marunong lang sila magdala. Kasi pinalaki silang ganon.
Yun. Yeah.
Like Tessie Coson, she's my idol. She's the ninang of my son.
Yeah.
Okay? For example, just like her. And I will give examples. People I know, yung hindi ko kilala, sorry na lang, hindi ko kilala. Pero kilala ko. I don't know of any other human being on earth that can do what she's doing and still be who she is.
Yes.
That's admirable. Walang yabang, walang arte, walang pretending, wala yan. And she is what she is because of her upbringing, and because that upbringing is Chinese.
Okay.
Dati wala namang Filipino-Chinese, bago lang yung salitang Filipino-Chinese You're either Chinese or not Chinese, right? And that's what it is. I don't think they sanay waking up at 12 o'clock at noon and partying all night. Wala naman sa DNA nila yun
Okay.
And her brothers are the same.
Yeah.
Diba? Her sister as well. So in other words, they are entitled to their own comfort. And I don't even want to make it personal na, no? Those who do that are entitled to their own comfort.
Yes.
And entitled, but that also, it is their own regulation, is their own, sila din nagsiset ng limit ng boundary. Do you want 5 Ferraris in your garage? Do you want 10 Ferraris in your garage? Diba? Now, if you can afford it, I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
But if you have to steal it, I have a problem with that.
Correct.
Diba?
Yeah.
Kasi ganun lang yun And if I park my Fortuner, my beat-up Fortuner, beside a Ferrari, I can look at the Ferrari, but I still like my Fortuner. Kahit anong baha, pwede kong akyatin pwede kong sabakin, di ba? Kahit anong bangketa, pwede kong akyatin di ba? So, I like to see Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Maseratis. I know those cars. Why? My dad had them.
Yeah.
But that was his headache. I don't want to inherit that headache. No, I know what it's like. Alam ko yan.
Senadora, speaking of headaches, di ba? Let's talk about your first siguro, or your earlier business venture nga yung Gallery Dominic.
Yeah.
But before you answer our next question, time check muna tayo. It's 2:27.
That time check was brought to you by MX3.
MX3. Dito ako bilib.
DWIZ. Negoshow.
Do you have a gambling problem? To know more about Paccor's responsible gaming program, including its player exclusion program, visit www.pacor.ph/regulatory/responsible.ph. A message of concern from the Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation.
Mga lugar na pinuntahan ng ibang tao, mga produkto, serbisyo na rekomendado. Alamin sa Highly Recommended.
Handa ka na bang dalhin ang iyong pagiging plantito at plantita to the next level? Narito ang 5 must-have gardening tools na magpapasigla sa iyong green journey. Una na dyan ang hand trowel. Maliit pero malakas. Perfect ito para sa pagtatanim ng seedlings at paglilipat ng halaman. Kalaykay, ang iyong ultimate soil smoother. Nagtatanggal ito ng debris at para ihanda ang lupa para sa pagtatanim. Ang pala naman ang powerhouse ng iyong hardin. Ideal ito para sa paghuhukay at paglilipat ng lupa. Gunting panghalaman o pruning shears, pinapanatili nitong fresh at malusog ang iyong mga halaman sa pamamagitan ng pagtrim ng mga sanga at dahon. Guantes, protect your hands in style. Ito'y para iwasan ang mga sugat at dumi habang naghahardin. Sa mga tools na ito, magiging mas madali at enjoyable ang iyong gardening experience. Kaya tara na, mga plantito at plantita, simulan na ang pagtatanim at gawing greener ang ating paligid. At yan ang ating highly recommended.
Kayang-kaya mo ang kahit na ano kung ikaw mismo ang gagawa nito. Let's learn new things sa DIY Do It Yourself.
Join the Switch to Dowel Inverter Series. 25 years of bringing goodness to the life of every Filipino.
Kahit na ang trabaho ng isang vacuum ay maglinis, abay syempre dapat mo rin itong linisan. Kaya sa pag-maintain para mas maging efficient ito, narito ang ilang paraan. Una, linisin ang unit sa bawat paggamit. Kung puno na ang dust bag, agad itong palitan para hindi bumaba ang suction power. Kung dustbin naman, itapon ang naipong alikabok pagkatapos. Ikalawa, huwag kalimutang hugasan ng filters at palitan ito kung kinakailangan. Suriin mo rin ng brush roll, hose at nozzle. Ikatlo, iwasang i-overload ang unit. Kung maaari, iwasan ang mga malalaki o mabibigat na bagay upang hindi masira ang motor nito. Ikaapat, iset ito sa tamang mode depende sa uri ng sahig, halimbawa ay carpet, hardwood o tile. At ikalima, ang paggamit sa vacuum ay huwag mong sagarin. Kung umiinit na, ito muna ay iyong patayin. Gets mo ba? Sige nga, do it yourself.
That segment was brought to you by Dowel, celebrating 25 years of innovation and excellence, a legacy of bringing goodness to the lives of every Filipino.
Naglilingkod ng tama. Latest, pinakabago at tama. DWIZ News Catch Up. News Catch Up.
Pilipinas, narito na ang mga tamang balita sa oras na ito. Malacanang kinumpirmang ang Office of the President ang nag-provide ng masasakyan ni dating Pangulong Duterte patungong The Hague. Detalyeng ihahatid ni Patrol 13 Gilbert Perdes.
Kinumpirma ng Malacanang na ang Office of the President ang nag-provide ng eroplanong sinakyan ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte patungong The Hague matapos itong arestuhin nitong Martes. Sa briefing dito sa Malacanang, sinabi ni Undersecretary Claire Castro na kaugnay ito sa assistance na hiningi daw sa kanila ng International Police Organization o Interpol para sa implementasyon ng arrest warrant laban sa dating Pangulo. Sinabi pa ng opisyal na una na nilang sinabi na kapag hiningi ng Interpol ang kanilang tulong ay dapat daw kumpleto ito kung hindi raw nagbigay ng sasakyan o masasakyan patungong The Hague ay tila hindi raw kumpleto ang pagtugon ng gobyerno sa commitment nito sa Interpol. Patrol 13 Gilbert Perdes para sa himpilang may totong lakas. DWIZ nagbabalita ng tama, naglilingkod ng tama.
DWIZ DWIZ News Catch Up. News Catch Up.
Samantala, mga lider ng Kamara kumpiyansang mas maraming lalabas para tumestigo kaugnay sa war on drugs. Ihatid ang balita ni Patrol 30 Jelly Mendez.
Tiwala ang mga kongresista sa Kamara na ngayong nasa kustodiya na ng International Criminal Court si dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte, unti-unti nang mawawala ang takot ng mga may kinalaman sa war on drugs campaign at maaaring lumantad na mga ito para ilahad ang kanilang nalalaman. Sinabi ni Deputy Majority Leader Paulo Ortega V ng La Union na ang mga takot at dati na magsalita ay magkakaroon na ngayon ng lakas ng loob upang tumistigo laban sa dating Pangulo at sa kanyang mga kaalyado. Nilinaw naman babatas na ang pangunahing layunin ng kaso ay ang pagkamit ng hustisya para sa mga biktima ng extrajudicial killings. Ipinunto naman ni House Assistant Majority Leader Jill Bongalon na limitado ang mga naunang pagsisikap na imbestigahan ang madugong giyera kontra iligal na droga ng Administrasyong Duterte kung saan ay maraming biktima ang nawalan ng pagkakataong makamit ang hustisya. Binigyan din naman ni House Assistant Majority Leader Jude Asidre na ang pag-aresto kay Duterte ay hindi isang uri na panggigipit sa politika, kundi isang hakbang patungo sa pananagutan para sa libo-libong Pilipinong napatay dahil sa pagpapatupad ng war on drugs. Anya ang warrant ng ICC ang unang hakbang upang papanagutin ang tunay na may sala. Ito si Patrol 30 Jelly Mendez nag-uulat para sa impilang may todong lakas sa DWIZ. Nagbabalita ng tama, naglilingkod ng tama.
DWIZ News Catch Up. News Catch Up.
At yan ang mga tamang balita sa oras na ito. Mag-follow at subscribe sa lahat ng DWIZ News digital channels: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, X, DWIZ News app at DWIZ News website. Ako po si John Riz Galata, nagbabalita ng tama, naglilingkod ng tama.
Oras-oras nagbabalita ng tama, naglilingkod ng tama. DWIZ News Catch Up. News Catch Up.
That news update was brought to you by Bingo Plus.
Download Bingo Plus app now in Google Play and App Store for a chance to win up to 312 million pesos jackpot prize. Visit bingoplus.com to learn more. With Bingo Plus, bingo sa saya, plus sa panalo.
This time check is brought to you by
Whirlpool Home Appliances that make everyday living so much easier. From washers, dryers, refrigerators, microwave ovens, cooking products, to air cons, air purifiers, and dishwashers. Whirlpool, sensing what matters today. Making your world a little easier. Whirlpool.
This time check is brought to you by
Technogas Technique Kitchen Appliances. Technogas Technique is available in appliance stores nationwide. Furnish your kitchen with Technogas Technique appliances. Technogas Technique, your cooking partner. That's the Technogas Technique.
Ang oras sa Kapuluan, 2:35 ng hapon.
That time check was brought to you by
Whirlpool Home Appliances that make everyday living so much easier. From washers, dryers, refrigerators, microwave ovens, cooking products, to air cons, air purifiers, and dishwashers. Whirlpool, sensing what matters today. Making your world a little easier. Whirlpool.
That time check was brought to you by
Technogas Technique Kitchen Appliances. Technogas Technique is available in appliance stores nationwide. Furnish your kitchen with Technogas Technique appliances. Technogas Technique, your cooking partner. That's the Technogas Technique.
DWIZ Negoshow. Kasama sina Lito Gagni at Gerry Urbina. Negoshow.
Okay, we're back.
Yeah.
And may nakabitin na question. Then,
Yeah, I'd like to yung maybe take off from dun sa question mo kanina kay Senator yung paano siya nag-umpisa nung unang business niya yung sa
Correct, ma'am.
gallery, no?
yeah. Kwento nyo naman yung mga hardships.
But then maybe related to the present business venture ni Senator, no?
Yes, yeah.
So can we maybe start on that when you started young, you know?
Well, just a little bit, just to move back a little bit, no?
Yeah.
We were talking about how I grew up like in a Filipino-Chinese environment.
Correct.
sabi nga nila, east is east, west is west, and never the twain shall meet. In the Filipino-Chinese family, nag-meet yun eh. Yung east and west.
Okay.
Kasi, when we're kids and we're asked to work or we're asked to do things, okay lang yun. I know, for example, even like earlier I was talking about Tessie, they work in their offices, they work in their stores, at a very early age. And if you ask Urbina, I'm sure she started with their bodega, she started working, with doing inventory and counting things, etc. And many others started that way before they became huge conglomerates.
Correct,
right?
yep.
Sa West, ang tawag dyan, child labor eh. Ang tawag dyan, child labor. Diba?
Tama,
But
yes.
if you talk to Reggie Yu, who's of Times Paint factory, company, he will also tell you that. His classmates, he's from Xavier School, his classmates were going on occasions or going out of town on weekends.
Yeah.
He has to stay in his factory with his dad.
And work the business.
And work. And he didn't have any complaints. He had no choice, I guess. But eventually, today, now that he's CEO and running the factory, he wouldn't even be in that situation, maybe if that didn't happen.
Okay.
And that was very clear. There's nothing wrong with work. Tayo halos kulelat na tayo eh. If you look at Thailand, Malaysia, even Vietnam, Indonesia, we're so kulelat compared to them. And look at the way we look. Anong itsura natin? Sabi mo na lang, traffic, pagkain, tirahan, healthcare, education, nasan tayo? Diba?
Yep.
So, tourist arrivals, bilangin mo na lahat yan, nasan tayo?
Yep.
So, and yet, hinahanap natin holiday, bakasyon. Bakasyon hinahanap natin. Di ba? Kulang pa. So, the foreign investor will look at the Philippines and say, I am paying you 13 months. You're getting 13 months pay. But 104 days in a year, you're not working. You have 25 more holidays, 25 more leaves, etc., etc. By the time you compute it, I'm paying you 13 months pay, you're only working 6 months.
Yep.
Diba? Christmas is one day, but people take off on the 20th, or if not, have Christmas parties, and come back on the 3rd of January.
Yeah.
Diba? But you're getting paid 13 months pay.
Tama
So,
yun.
sino pupunta rito? Diba?
Yeah.
Simple lang. So, work should not be a parusa. Work should not be a, like hell for you. Because if it's hell for you, then that's not work that's cut out for you.
Yeah.
Napipilitan ka dyan because you're not trained to do something else. So when you apply for work, ano gusto mong trabaho? Kahit ano.
Yeah.
Ano yun? Di ba? Hindi mo alam kung ano ka dapat eh.
Correct.
Now, you're asking me, how did I start the gallery? My mother was an art collector. She collected art. I mean, modern art at that time. It was the Philippine Art Gallery in those days. There was just one or two of art galleries. And then she was also collecting antiques. I remember Nene Cortez was her go-to for antiques, mostly from churches, from old houses, etc.
Yep.
So she was collecting saints, etc. And I took a liking to that. She listened to classical music. She read books.
Yep.
And so that was another environment. As I said, I had two. Best of both worlds I grew up in.
Yeah.
So I took a liking to that. And I thought it was nice. So eventually I grew up and started a small gallery. It was in my house, in my house in Wakwak. It's no longer there. I passed by there the other day, and the house is no longer there. So I guess whoever owns it now built a new house.
Yeah.
But so that was how I started. I knew the artists, and since I liked art, it started from there. My grandmothers would really spoil me by buying works of art for me. Siyempre, bata ka, hindi mo kaya yun eh, di ba?
Yep.
So, it was my grandmother that was my go-to person. My two grandmothers with an S that were my go-to persons to buy art and to buy records. Records in Santa Mesa Market. 33 RPM and 45 RPM records. So I listened to music, I liked art, I liked books, etc. That was how Gallery Dominic started. I only had one employee.
Okay.
who up to now we're still in touch. She is a cancer survivor, but we're still in touch.
Wow.
And Laila Calaor
Shout out
was
to Laila.
Laila Calaor.
Yeah.
She was my employee in the gallery. She became my employee when I was in Congress. She was my employee in the Senate. She was my go-to person. Do this, do that. Kahit hindi ko na siya employee, she would still do things for me. Wonderful person. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Iba na yung tao noon kaysa ngayon. Anyway, so she was like that. If you take all my ex-employees one at a time, it's hard to find the replacement for any one of those. I'm seriously saying that. And they know me, I'm a terror, but up to now, we still have reunions. We have reunion, we go to vegan. Reunion, we go to Subic, like that. Up to now.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so that was how I started. I had one employee. She was in charge of everything. Records, bank, transactions, name it. Everything and everything. Paying credit cards, buying from the artists, selling, holding, organizing art exhibits, dealing with the caterers, etc. Name it.
Yeah.
And she was also mayordoma. She was running my household with maybe 5 or 6 female helpers and 3 or 4 gardeners and guards and drivers.
Yeah.
One person was doing all of that. Now, you can't ask one person to do that. You need 16 people to do it. I tell you, it's unbelievable today.
Senator.
So that was how I started the gallery.
Yeah. Well, of course, we know you entered politics, but I'm also interested kasi after politics, you became a full-time educator.
Yes.
Can you talk about that? And
My
how
mother-
did you?
Yeah.
How did you enter that space?
Oh, easy, very
Oh.
easy. I told you, I will not trade my childhood, my
Yes.
beginnings to this very day
Okay.
for anything else. I will keep the same.
Yes.
Why? My mother, I told you earlier, was as a professor in the University of the Philippines.
Okay.
So she had 2 other friends.
Mm-hmm.
Irma Reyes Apelo, doctor,
Okay.
who was my ninang
Okay.
in baptism,
Mhm.
and Felisa Generoso,
Okay.
who was the principal of the UP Integrated School.
UPIS.
UPIS.
Yes. Mm.
So upon the retirement of Mrs. Generoso, my mom asked her to set up the school, the 3 of them, and to put up Diliman Preparatory School. It was a little Red Riding Hood school. A small bungalow, of 5 or so classrooms. And it was in the middle of what was then the garbage dump of Manila. Diliman. O doon tinatambak yung mga bangkay, tinatambak yung mga lahat, no? So, it was really, but my mom says, let's put up a school there, and this is the way we're going to run it, etc. And to this day, Diliman Preparatory School is run with the same values, the same vision, the same mission as what our foremothers and our school founders had started. So I'm already the 2nd generation of my mom. In the case of Mrs. Generoso, it's already 3rd generation that's in there. In the case of Irma Reyes Apelo, it's also the second generation that's there. In the case of Mrs. Ofelia Ang-Angco, Professor Ofelia Ang-Angco, also of the University of the Philippines, the mother of Attorney Reggie Ang-Angco. She was with us in Diliman Prep. And so we're already basically 2nd and 3rd generation there.
So it's been a long time, huh?
Oh yeah. So when my mother died, we made Mrs. Ang-Angco the chairman.
Okay.
Giving that respect, considering she was, she'd been there.
Yes.
When Professor Ang-Angco died, we gave the chairmanship to Bobby Ang-Angco, who's the son of Mrs. Ang-Angco, and he also passed. Engineer. He was an engineer from UP. And he also passed away. And so eventually I got a professional chairman, Dr. Raymond Arcega. Oh yeah, he's got a whole slew. He's a kilometer long of degrees that he has finished. He also happens to be the president of the Association of Local Colleges and Universities.
Okay.
So that's a lot.
Yeah.
So that gives me now the liberty to move around and come here, talk to you, be 2 hours early, and come here, talk about anything and everything. No problem. Why? Because I have Dr. Arcega out there
managing affairs, managing the business for you.
Yeah.
So that's a good lesson in delegation. But ma'am, we want to also talk about your latest venture naman, yung fashion venture ninyo. But before we talk about that, Time check muna, it's 2:46.
That time check was brought to you by Bingo Plus.
Download Bingo Plus app now in Google Play and App Store for a chance to win up to 312 million pesos jackpot prize. Visit bingoplus.com to learn more. With Bingo Plus, bingo sa saya, plus sa panalo.
DWIZ Negoshow.
Ako, ikaw. We need to really focus on being healthy. It really helps to improve our life. Hola from Barcelona. I'm Winmar.
Now we are unboxing MX Sweet Coffee. Each box has 10 sachets of low-acid and sugar-free coffee. You can have it hot or cold. Bring it with you anytime, anywhere. Shop at Lazada, Shopee, and in leading drugstores nationwide.
Alamin kung bawal o hindi. Dahil kung di mo alam to, kaso ang kakaharapin mo sa NBI. Nako, bawal ito.
Ayaw tanggapin bilang pambayad ang perang papel dahil nakatupi? Nako, bawal ito. May mga pagkakataon na agad na lang nating isinisilid sa ating wallet o sa bulsa ang mga isinusukli sa ating pera. Nakaraniwan namang dahilan ng pagkasira ng kanyang forma. Pero paano kung sa ibang pagkakataon ay ginamit mo itong pambayad at ayaw itong tanggapin dahil mayroon itong tupi? Malinaw sa advisory ng Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas na walang problema at maaari pa ring ipambayad ang nakatupi o may tuping banknote na inisyu ng BSP kahit nagawa man ito sa papel o sa polymer. Gayunpaman, ipinaalala pa rin ng BSP na huwag masyadong gusutin, punitin o butasan ang mga banknote. Bagkus, ito ay dapat ingatan. Dahil ayon sa Presidential Decree No. 247, ang labis na pagdungis, pagbaboy at pagsira sa mga pera ng Pilipinas ay labag sa batas. At ang sinumang sumuway ay maaaring makulong ng 5 taon at magmulta ng hindi higit sa 20,000 piso. Ayon din sa Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, kung ayaw tanggapin ang ibinabayad mong pera dahil nakatupi, maaari mo itong i-report sa mga sumusunod. Una, pwede mo itong i-report sa BSP email, sa LTFRB at sa DTI. Kaya naman sa mga tindahan o negosyo, huwag tanggihan ang nakatuping pera. Gawa man yan sa papel o sa polymer. Suriin na...
Yeah, Senadora, may nakabiti na naman na question. Yun nga, recently, you actually just started a new business. And it's quite amazing because this business you launched at the age of 70 years old, di ba?
Yes.
Yan. Can you talk about this new fashion venture of yours which was born out of the pandemic, di ba? Kwento mo naman.
Yes. Well, I always believe that today is the first day of the rest of our lives.
Ayan, ha? Narinig nyo yan.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how old you are.
Yeah.
Today is the first day of the rest of your lives.
Yes.
Of our lives, you know.
Yeah.
And if you think you're hitting towards the end, that's your problem. I mean, you know, I always want to think today is the first day of the rest of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
That being the situation, the other thing I believe in is there's no substitute for creativity and hard work, determination. Huwag ka mamimili ng trabaho. Yung hindi mo alam, just because hindi mo alam, hindi ibig sabihin, hindi mo malalaman.
Yep.
No, that's the reason why we're called people. It's because we have the capacity to learn and the capacity to decide to learn.
Yeah.
And the capacity to spend time, energy, effort to learn. So I have never gone into clothing. I like clothes, I like colorful things.
Yes.
I like beads, I collect beads. I've been collecting beads since I was in high school.
Okay.
I went to school in Baguio, so it was very easy to collect the beads of the Cordillera. I'm amazed, I was fascinated by them.
Yeah.
So eventually I met somebody who would string the beads.
Yes.
And we've been stringing beads for 40 years. But I have not been selling my beads for 40 years.
Yes.
I've just been doing it for myself, just to wear them myself.
Okay, yeah.
And so...
And you're wearing one of your pieces
yes,
right now?
oh yeah, this one. Yeah, my friend from Batangas.
Galing.
Resi, she's the one who strings them. Anyway, so why did I get into garments? Well, as I said, I was also a fabric collector.
Okay.
I've been collecting fabrics for, I would say, maybe 45 years.
Yep.
And they're precious. Fabrics are one of the most wonderful things to collect. I'll tell you, the price increase Let's just look at it from the financial side.
Kind of an
Of
investment.
textile.
Yes.
Which we didn't know at that time. No? At that time when you're doing it, hindi mo naman nakikita yun eh.
Yeah.
So we're collecting art, we're collecting fabrics, etc. Because they are woven by women. Hand-drawn, hand-painted, handcrafted, whatever, by women.
Yep.
And from all over the world. From Indonesia, from Sri Lanka, from India, from Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia, from everywhere. From China, Japan, name it. You know, women are engaged in weaving. Many women are engaged in weaving.
Yes.
And the indigenous peoples. In South America as well, Mexico.
Yeah.
So I have fabrics from all over. During the pandemic, nothing was moving. I wasn't going out of my house at all. So I decided to go into making garments. And since I did not have any training, I said I have to do garments that have no shape. You don't have to cut the sleeves.
Oh,
You don't have to cut the collar. You
Yes.
don't have to cut a waistline.
Yeah.
You don't have to be empire length height or waistline or hip line. No, wala yun. You don't need formal training for that.
Yes.
So I started doing it just for myself. I felt sorry for myself. All my dusters were so bulok and gutay-gutay because they were so comfortable. You didn't want to throw them away, right?
Correct, yes.
Oh my God! But that's when you hit the sack, you stand up, you wake up in the morning, and you get out of your house. You don't even see what you're wearing.
Yes.
Okay. But when you're in the house 24 hours a day for 2 years, that's another story. Right?
Okay.
So I said, no, I don't want to look like that. So I cut the best fabrics
Yes.
and made them into kaftans.
Yun.
And then, hey, my dressmakers who used to make dresses for me, but because their shops were all closed
Okay.
during the pandemic, I was still asking them to make some so that they'll have hanap buhay, right, for their sewing girls.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it became like 10, 20, 30 pieces, 40. I said, what am I going to do with this?
Okay.
So I asked my friends if they wanted to buy, and I asked my relatives if they wanted to buy 1, 2 at a time.
Yes.
And they liked them.
Okay. Yeah.
So I asked my friend Neddy Tantoco, who's
Yes.
passed away now,
Yeah.
if I could show them in Rustans.
Yeah.
And she said, yeah, okay. So I did. I sent them there. Now, of course, I cannot meet that kind of quota. I don't have a factory. I don't have the engineering or the science of it.
Yeah.
I may have the art of it and the guts and, maybe some staying power.
Yes.
And my inventory is already there in the first place.
Yeah.
There was no real big effort or, great things to do to build an inventory of material. So I did. And now my friends still come to me and ask me if I still have, and I show them pictures and they like them and
Yeah.
they buy them. So we're going to have a trunk show on the 19th, 20th, 21st
Whereabouts?
in Rockwell,
Okay.
Hoya.
Hoya. Okay.
Hoya. Yes.
Right now po, sa mga nanonood na nakikinig, where are your kaftans available ho? Where can they purchase them?
Well, they have to get in touch with me.
Ayun. Okay.
Yeah, because the thing is, I don't have a store space
Okay.
because I can't afford the kind of rentals that are being charged now.
Medyo steep.
It's out of this world. Paghahanap buhay ko lang yung mall, di ba? So
Yes.
hindi ko kaya yon. And so basically, it's just me.
Okay.
And if you go onto our Facebook,
Okay.
just tell me that you want. Give me your number. Or, I don't know. I'm not even techie. My staff will find a way to get.
Pero
in
you have a
touch with
Facebook page.
Yeah.
Kaftan
Facebook.
1.
There's Kaftan 1. Yeah,
Yes,
sure.
okay.
Yeah, I think some of these
It's Kaftan
entrepreneurs
1 by
do
Nikki
the,
Coseteng.
yeah. Social media. No?
Yeah, social media.
That's right,
You'll
yeah.
find a way to get in touch with me. Maybe Messenger, maybe whatever.
Sure.
And
Yan po, sa mga interesado
We'll get
pong
in touch with
mag-order
you. Sure, yeah.
ng Kaftan 1.
soon I'm gonna have, because there's these young people who are so excited to build up the brand.
Yes.
So I said, okay, you do it, because I'm Jurassic. I'm Jurassic. I can't do it. So you guys do it because you're vibrant and you're,
Yes.
Yeah. So that's it. But they're beautiful. I tell you, there's nothing like it. There's
Yeah.
nothing like it in the market.
Yeah.
I can assure you that.
Yeah.
And if you buy it and you see it and you don't like it, it's all right.
Okay.
Don't worry about it because I only have one of a kind.
Ayun, ha? Each piece is unique.
Just one.
I
And if
see.
you pay me 10 times the price, I don't have it anymore. Alas, I wish I had more of that kind, of
Yeah.
that design, in
Yeah.
other words. Sometimes, if I have two, the
Yeah.
fabric is big enough, I can make 2 pieces. What I do is one is V-neck, one is round neck. So
Okay.
doesn't still look
That's
the same.
great. Senator, I'm sure madami nanonood at nakikinig right now na matatawag natin mga lolapreneurs or lolapreneurs, diba? Or are thinking of going into business or starting their own business, pero sometimes yung hesitation nila is they feel that they're too old to start something new. What's your advice for them?
Just think, today's the first day of the rest of your lives.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, you have to do something that you like.
Yep.
Kung kumita ka, okay. Kung hindi ka kumita, okay rin. Kasi masaya ka, ginagawa mo eh. Diba? And if you really like it, and if you really enjoy it and put time and really think about it, and not to overthink it, but just do it. As the slogan says in one rubber shoes company, just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah. And you have to feel confident about yourself. And if you can't sell it, you can always wear it. I mean, in my case, if I can't sell it, I'll wear it. It's mine. Sometimes nga, merong kaftan na sana hindi mabenta. Kasi I like them. I like, sana hindi mabenta ito.
Ate, maybe I just want to insert a question. Yung going back to education. Kasi right now, sabi nila, yung in the Asian, yung Southeast Asian area, tayo daw yung mga kuha natin, estudyante, they spend more time in school, but they lag behind in literacy.
Yeah, I mean, I think magandang tanong yun kasi yung lumabas nga na recent EDCOM 2 report, ma'am, not so good.
Yeah, but we have to accept all these data. The data that's coming out, we have to accept it with a straight face. That's the only way you can do something about it. If you keep saying, hindi naman totoo yan eh. Ay, mali yung mga survey, bobolahin lang tayo. No. If that's the way you look at things, you will never be able to solve it. That's a problem. And we know what the causes of the problems are. The next question, the fundamental question is, do we want to solve the problem or not? Why? With this condition that we are in right now, this exact situation, lahat, all included, lahat yan, all aspects, the entire environment where we are in, marami pong nakikinabang dyan. Maraming nakikinabang sa ating sitwasyon ngayon. So, kung ayaw nilang baguhin yan, hindi magbabago yan. If we are going to change things and change situations and restudy, not even restudy, you don't even have to study it anymore. You know it.
Yes.
And in the education department, minimum requirement dyan, minimum, to be in the leadership of the education department, minimum requirement dyan, PhD. So kung lahat na matitinding PhD nandyan, ba't ganyan tayo? Meron disconnect. Diba? Walang makikinig sa akin. Bakit? I'm a college dropout. Why? Because I felt that going to college at that time was a waste of time. I entered the University of the Philippines in 1970. Martial law, words, and usap-usapan, bulungan, and all were rife at that time. Okay? And then I was there until 1973. I was 3 years in university and I realized no matter how hard I study, how many subjects I took, etc., I will never have a diploma. Why? I like to take what I like and what I was interested in. And everything I was interested in, Asian civilization, logic, philosophy, or etc., or English, or literature, or speech and drama. All of these things, walang diploma po yun. Wala kang mapapala. So this now, then I began to realize that these are what many students feel na wala na silang gana mag-aral kasi wala naman silang pupuntahan kahit matapos ka. May diploma ka, nasan ka? Wala ka rin pupuntahan eh. So ibig sabihin, sa lahat na matatalino na nandyan, kailangan marami na tayong solusyon eh.
Correct.
Now, which means there might be an underlying reason why the system is not changed. Because maybe there are people who don't want to change it. Can you imagine if the situation is changed and we now have a generation or two of those who are not like the generation of today? In other countries, they go to the more developed countries to study. The Indians, the Chinese, the Filipinos. We go to the United States, we go to England, we go to Australia, Canada, wherever, Singapore, to study. Why? so we can have jobs outside.
Yeah.
But look at how many of the Chinese go to the Ivy League schools and come back to China,
home to China.
and develop there.
Yeah.
The Filipinos, they take up a subject, they take up a course. Why? Para makakuha ako ng US visa. Kasi wala naman
To
akong
move abroad.
Kasi
That's
wala akong
true.
babalikan eh. So lagi ko sinasabi, alam nyo, wala kayong babalikan dahil wala naman kayo itinutulong para itayo ang isang bansa na meron kayong babalikan.
Yan. Pero Senator, yun
Because
nga.
that's very, very critical.
Yeah.
If you're not helping to create a strong country, a strong nation, so that you will want to stay here and die here, and help here, and build here, wala ka talagang babalikan.
Yeah. Well, Senator, thank you so much for spending your afternoon with us. Kulang na kulang yung oras. We hope to have you back. Kasi madami pa tayong pag-uusapan. Yes. Maraming salamat. And of course, our next program, and maraming salamat pala din for filling in today. And our next program is Senyor Balita with Senyor Ray Pacheco.
Oh, I have to say hi and thank you to Jingay.
Yeah. Jingay, shout out to Miss Jingay Gallardo.
Jingay Gallardo, thank you very
Top
much.
Hat Consulting.
Yes,
That's
for
right.
inviting me to come here.
Yes.
You should have been here.
That's right. Maraming salamat. Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Happy afternoon.
Walang yumayaman sa pagiging empleyado lang. Dapat lahat tayo nagninegosyo. Timing! Narito ang isang programang magbibigay ng tamang gabay sa pagnenegosyo.